Hi there. The A to Z's of Health and Nutrition is here to equip you and help you feel great, look radiant, and live healthy. So here it is in a nutshell. And here's my disclaimer. The information I'll be talking about has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. It is based on my own personal research and experiences. It is not intended to be used to diagnose, treat, or prevent any disease. Okay, now this week we are cracking the nutshell about cardiovascular. 27 years ago, my father was in congestive heart failure. He was scheduled for open heart surgery. The surgery was to involve replacing a malfunctioning valve in his heart, and his cardiologist was expecting to have to do several bypasses. Unfortunately, he was really struggling to keep up with his ranch at the age of 76 because of his heart. Thankfully, neighbors, friends, and relatives were all stepping in to help him. Now, we lived in California at the time, and he was ranching in northeastern New Mexico. Larry and I scheduled our vacation to coincide with Daddy's heart surgery so that we could be with him and Mama. At that time, I had been studying and learning about nutrition for only about 3 years. I had tried to get Daddy to take some of our Neolife supplements. He took them for about a month, but came down with a bad back problem, and he blamed the supplements, then refused to take them any longer. He even told Mama that he thought they had poisoned him. Well, when we packed up to go to New Mexico for Daddy's surgery, I packed several heart-related supplements. I wanted to be prepared to help him because he had earlier mentioned that he really wished there was some other way other than open heart surgery. Now, prior to our leave date, Daddy called and told us that the heart surgeon had postponed his surgery for 2 weeks because of a scheduling problem. So I asked Daddy if he wanted us to postpone our trip. He said he didn't because he would rather spend time with us at home instead of in the hospital. Now, when we arrived in New Mexico, I told Mama that I had brought some supplements that might help Daddy. I asked her if she thought he would take them. She said, "No, but you can give it a try and you can talk to him." After supper that night, I was trying to figure out the best way to start the conversation when Mama spoke up and said, "Pat has something to talk to you about." That opened the door for me to talk to Daddy. I basically showed him the supplements and explained to him how they might help him. I also told him exactly what they were going to cost him. And I even said, I cannot guarantee this will help, but I do know that it won't hurt you. I don't believe the doctor is really going to guarantee the results of his surgery, is he? Daddy told me he would think about it, and then he went to bed. The next morning when I got up, Daddy was sitting at the kitchen table. He said, "Well, Pat, I believe I'm ready to give it a try." Now, I had suggested a rather extensive amount of supplements for him to start with because I wanted fast results. I had the amounts and the schedule for taking them all laid out and written down. After breakfast, he started taking the supplements. I even made him open the bottles himself. At that point, I had been shocked to see just how weak he was because of his congestive heart failure. It was probably the first time in his life that he had not been able to take part in the spring branding of his calves. He was so weak, it was difficult for him to even walk across the room without being totally exhausted. He was not even able to go outside and walk the short distance to the rural route mailbox, which was approximately 400 or 500 feet round trip from the inside of the house. There was a cattle guard at about the halfway point. And if you don't know what a cattle guard is, you can ask me about that later. The third day after starting the supplement program, Daddy went outside. In a little while, he came back into the house with the mail. He sat down in his easy chair and said, "I walked to the mailbox and got all the way back to the cattle guard before I realized I was supposed to be tired." And sure enough, I was. Larry and I looked at one another. Could the supplements really be making that much difference already? The following day, Larry and I had to start back to California as it was a full 2 days drive. When we got home to California, I made a safe arrival call to my parents. Of course, back then, we didn't have cell phones, internet, email, or texting. But Daddy answered the phone, and he announced that he had walked a mile that morning and was feeling much better. He was even thinking about calling and canceling his surgery, which had been rescheduled for the next week. I wasn't sure what to say about that. Anyway, the following Monday, Daddy called to tell me he had canceled his open heart surgery, and he was now walking 2 miles a day. It was like a miracle. Now, this video is going to be too long if I tell you the rest of the story here. So I want you to check in with me tomorrow in this group, and I will tell you the rest of the story. I'm so thankful God has given me a passion to learn and share about nutrition and the basics of how to live a healthy lifestyle. I believe taking care of my health is honoring to God, and I believe taking care of my health allows me to bring joy, health, and happiness to family and friends. Join me tomorrow for the rest of the story. That's it for today. Cardiovascular in a nutshell.